I'm Gabby's Jules, gray skies over West London. But don't worry, we're here to brighten up your day. What a weekend, Jules.
Incredible.
The league leaders in England, in Spain, in Germany, in Italy, all dropping points.
Yeah,
In France, it went a bit better for your boys, Paris Saint-Germain, but it was a
just about.
late
Yeah.
three-pointer from John Neves. Just a lot of big clubs not playing good football this weekend.
Yeah. Push Champions League as well. It's never easy.
And pre-international break, I might
Yeah.
add. But let's start with somebody who did play good football.
Yeah.
Manchester City, huge win over Liverpool. They're up to second in the table now, 4 points separating them from Arsenal. It's 3-0. Now, if you could break down all the individual components of this game, the disallowed, Van Dijk's disallowed goal, the fact that the second goal, the Nico Gonzalez goal, it was a deflection and maybe Mamardashvili would have gotten to it. You could maybe somehow trick yourself into thinking that this game was closer, but it really wasn't.
No. It definitely wasn't. Even if you take apart all those components like you just did, I just don't think Liverpool were ever in this game. City was super dominant on the back of a very good performance from Doku. But this evolution that we see with City this season and the Guardiola, the overload in midfield, the width with the fullbacks, just Liverpool never had an answer for it. I think personally I blame Slot for wrong team selection.
Uh-oh. Is he becoming a bald Dutch manager?
No, not yet. But I was very disappointed by Liverpool overall. I know the goal would have made it 1-1 and they should have stood. It was a goal. And I think you can feel aggrieved by it, 100%. But overall, the tactical, the game plan, the substitutions, the starting lineup, I think Slot got it wrong. And the lack of intensity from this Liverpool team was really hard to understand.
Now, obviously, both teams played in midweek. Just on the intensity piece,
Yeah.
Pep Guardiola made, I think, was it 3 changes from the team in midweek? Dropping Tijani Reinders, for example, bringing Ruben Diaz back. John Stones, I don't know if he's just going to play. Was this like Joel Embiid load management at this
So
point?
he
Or is
looked
he
very
injured
happy.
again? Like,
No. I saw him. He was on the bench. I saw him warming up and everything.
but whatever. Maybe he's not playing 2 games a week these days. But overall, there's no question. I think City had more energy, and every time the ball went to Jeremy Doku, as you know, I am I think outside of his immediate family, I'm probably the biggest Doku fan out there. I recognize that he's not been able to do this consistently. Maybe when you have that build and you move so quickly, muscular issues are always going to dog you, as they've dogged him throughout his career. But he's close to unplayable when he does this one on one.
Incredible.
And it's Connor Bradley who handled Vinicius so well in midweek.
Yeah.
All of a sudden struggles
Yeah,
so
really
much.
strong. And I think maybe the first one, the one that leads to the penalty, where Bradley defends really well actually on the outside on Doku, and then Konate comes across, and Konate actually put the ball back into Doku's path to then go around Mamadashvili and the penalty. That maybe just was already the turning point 'cause so early in the game. And he felt like after that they were so scared of him, where they actually dealt with him really well on that first 1v1. I don't know why again, as if you're Slot or Liverpool, you don't try to help Bradley out, because you felt to me, and being in the stadium was even, I think, more telling than on television where you obviously follow the ball, that it was just left on 1v1 all the time. There was no help
Right.
from, Mo Salah, we knew, and that's also part of the reason why the ball went to Doku a lot, either centrally or wide. But even when O'Reilly went wide, Salah was just not working hard enough. And then you leave Bradley really isolated.
The help,
Gravenberch.
you make a great point about the help. The help has to come from Gravenberch or possibly Soboslai.
Or Konate, or whoever really, but it never came.
The problem with Konate, then you leave Van Dijk one-on-one with Holland, and you can say, okay, it's
Yeah.
Van Dijk, but like it's got to be a midfielder who comes and doubles up, right, when he gets the ball, especially
Yeah.
when he gets it deeper.
Well, no, because the penalty is Konate coming across. He does it perfectly. He's just a bit unlucky that the ball bounces off Bradley back into the Doku path. But otherwise, that worked well. But there was never ever any sort of help for Bradley.
It seems to me now that like this international break is coming at the right time for Arne Slot. I think there's a lot of things to think through. I think he's got to weigh up getting results now versus integrating the newcomers because they're not moving the needle, frankly, at all. There were 2 of them on the pitch, Ekitike and Florian Wirtz. Ekitike, whatever. He does what he can do in these
Yeah,
conditions.
yeah.
Wirtz, I suspect that on Gavin Jules' podcast, we're going to have to talk about him again and
Mm.
how you fit him in this team. All right, Jules, I'm up my own backside on this, so I need you to provide a reality check and tell me if I'm photographing this incorrectly. Part of the reason there is more pressure on Arne Slot, other than the results, is obviously the fact that they spent an enormous amount of money in the summer. And so I think what you look for, and it is kind of a manager's job if he's secure in his job, which he is, because he just won the title, it's to balance future growth against results right now.
Mm.
Results right now, this is I think it's a fourth consecutive away defeat in the Premier League. They're not that far back if you look at the table, but they're further back than they should be. And
8 points.
8 points, and they're not playing well.
No.
The last few games, he's kind of gone for, I think, the safety blanket of what he played, the setup they had last year with Szoboszlai in the midfield. At some point, though, there's no escaping the fact that if Slot were here, he could say, yes, but you talk about all the money I spent in the summer, or that the club spent, Hughes and Edwards and whatever. Reality is, Isak hasn't contributed anything. He came late, unfit. Even yesterday he was on the bench. He only came back to training on Friday. Blah blah blah. I mean, he's been missing in action. Frimpong gets injured and kind of disappears. Kirkus has a really difficult time, to the point that they actually end up dropping him.
Yeah.
Wirtz, it's been the debate we've been having all year, right? I contend that it's too much, that they're gonna have to find a different home from him, other than in the hole, at least this season, at least by Christmas. I think I'm gonna win that bet, but I don't know. So you look at all this, and then Ekitike, he's like a 22-year-old guy, which is what he is, moving to a much bigger club, much more pressure, playing on his own up front, whereas he always played in a 2 before, or at least the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's a really big ask. And so I'm okay. If I'm Liverpool, I'm okay with Arne Slot saying, all right, settle it down, maybe drip feed these guys into the team. But at the same time, every week that passes and these guys don't play, or they play and they play badly, people ask questions of Slot, right?
Yeah, sure. We go back to that kind of pressure. He arrived, and I think Daniel Sturridge said it really nicely yesterday on UK television, when he said it was easier for him last year. And we've said it many times, and there's no need to abuse us on social media. It's true. He arrived with no new signing apart from Chiesa to integrate, with a squad that had been together under Klopp quite successfully for 80% of it, pretty much. You arrive, you change a few things, slightly your tactics, certainly in the way the group is living, what time you want them at training, breakfast, all that kind of stuff that he did. Great. He was really good, and they were the best team in an average season, by far. This is very different. This is a completely different task and challenge. And so far he's struggling.
Right.
Maybe he wanted to change too much too quickly by having Frimpong and Kirkus and Ekitike and Wirtz all together in the team, plus Isak, and it didn't work. And now I don't know where you go, because Kirkus is not good enough. I mean, yesterday he came on, first ball he touched, he sent the ball into the stands. I'm like, what are you even doing? You lack confidence. Just keep it simple. Frimpong is injured. Isak is not ready. Ekitike is chaos, although he's the one that's done the best, really. Mamadashvili doesn't really count, but he's been okay. And then there's Wirtz. Wirtz on the left-hand side makes no sense whatsoever. They can't do it again. It's pointless.
Right. But there's Wirtz's number, because we mentioned today one of the issues, or against City, one of the issues was they were overloaded in midfield, right?
Yeah.
Poor Gravenberch having to run around all over the place.
Yeah.
If you have Wirtz instead of Szoboszlai, if you have Wirtz in the hole, as the original plan was,
Yeah.
maybe the long-term plan is,
Yeah, very much.
that's not going to help you.
No. But
where do you play Wirtz?
He has to go on the bench.
You would bench Wirtz.
Absolutely. For a game like yesterday, Wirtz on the left-hand side, I mean, we don't even need to say it. It was so obvious to see. He came off, he hardly touched the ball. He was so ineffective.
Right.
There's just no point. There's absolutely zero
At least
points.
defensively, though, you could make the point that Liverpool suffered much more on the other side than on Wirtz's side.
Well, no. The goal comes from his side, where he's literally...
What, the weird Holland header? Where
Yeah,
if
that's
Konate has a different haircut.
No, Konate has to clear it. Robertson has to be tighter to Nunes. Wirtz is
but
there.
Ryan Cherky had a much quieter game than Doku is what I'm driving at.
Absolutely. But
Right.
that's City's plan. It's got nothing to do with Florian Wirtz being on the left hand side for Liverpool. It's just not. If Wirtz could have been on the right
trying
hand
to
side.
find a positive for
No,
poor
but I
Florian.
feel for him because I saw him yesterday coming off. He looked. I mean, even in the first half, he was playing on the side where we were sat. He looked like he had no idea what to do, what his role was in this team. The touchline was literally, and he was in front of the benches, which can't be easy. Every player hates playing on the side of the benches for obvious reasons. I felt for him, I really did, because that's not. It's not. It's a disservice to him to play him there in a game like this against a team as good as the City team is.
All right, but then he would have rather been a few more meters out, sitting on the bench.
Yesterday, bring him on after an hour if you want, because you're trailing,
right.
or you need to keep the ball, or you need something a bit, especially if City are dropping a bit. Don't start him on the left-hand side. It made no sense.
Going into this game, is that the only change you would have made ahead of time? Versus for Gakpo? And kept the rest of the
absolutely.
formation?
For the game yesterday, I'm not sure if Robertson can really play 3 games in 7 days, and I think
but then you have to play Kirkes.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. But I think he showed. But that's on Liverpool, really. It's not on Robertson at kind of his age. But I would have started Gakpo on the left hand side.
Okay, that means you go more safety blanket, more results now, less integration. I mean, maybe that is the way. Maybe you play Wirtz against bad teams at home, and maybe you put your focus if Isak comes back fit after the international break. Maybe you focus more on, okay, now it's Isak's time. Let's try to integrate Isak. Let's try to give him a run of games. I'm sure integrating a center forward is nominally, you would assume, is going to be easier than somebody like Florian Wirtz. That's a big question mark. The Robertson angle, at some point, like I said, Bradley and Robertson can't play every game, right? So, and you probably don't want Frimpong and Kirkes playing at the same time. So do you go back to
it depends on the position, but
one attacking fullback, one Bradley or Robertson? Is
Yeah,
that
maybe.
what you do when Frimpong's fit
I
again?
think so, yeah. So in some games, depending on your position, obviously, I think it's hard to play Frimpong and Kirkes together. On yesterday, I'm just not sure exactly what Slot was thinking pre-match, because everybody knew how the City team at the Etihad would play, even in a game like this that overloaded midfield. He had no answer for it. It looked like they were not prepared for it. You also know, because you saw it against Dortmund in midweek in the Champions League, that City in second halves tend to drop a bit more and be a bit tired and kind of invite the pressure. So in that case, and we saw that when Gakpo came on and had that chance on the cross from Bradley, it's a difficult chance, but it's still a chance. Why then not bringing Wirtz on at that time? Because City would play deeper. Szoboszlai didn't do enough apart from, running and a bit of pressing in that second half, because City were kind of waiting, having the ball and controlling that second half. Doku scored a worldie, no problem. But then it would have made far more sense for Wirtz to come on after an hour, knowing that City, inevitably, because that's what they do very regularly, especially against good teams, drop a bit, there would have been more sense for Wirtz to be that than starting. And that's why, again, I go back to Slot's game plan. Made no sense for me from the beginning until the end.
I have a ton of sympathy for Slot. I think you can say it was easier for him last season, fine, but he also had a whole bunch of other obstacles last season, which he didn't have this year. Different ones. Let's not forget, Trent, Salah, and Van Dijk on expiring contracts. That's not a joke. That is a very serious situation. Replacing a legend, being Mr. Nobody from nowhere, and arriving at Anfield. A lot of these things, it's not like he just walked in there and the team was an automatic. And
I didn't say it was easy. I said it was easier than this season, which is very different.
I would say it's, this season is another really, really tough task, integrating so many people. And with the transfer market, which I go back to this, we haven't mentioned it, but knock on wood, Konate and Van Dijk don't get hurt, or suspended or whatever, because we still have 2 months before the transfer window opens, and there's a lot of points at stake in that time period, and there is no third center back. And I think that is another serious issue. On the City front, it's Pep Guardiola's 1,000th game. I don't get that excited over big round numbers, blah blah blah, because it's a lot. So if you're old and you're a good manager, and you'll you'll reach 1,000 games, right?
Yeah, like Neil Warnock. Or something, or,
Exactly.
there's a lot of other average managers who've done it. Yeah.
But we're seeing he said something, speaking of Doku, about like, he's like, I think he said something like, well, I'm good, but I'm not that good that I can make Doku play like that. That's him. That's his skill set. That's his talent. We've talked about how Holland was doing almost all the scoring for City and how were they one-dimensional. Do you think Doku can keep something like this level? I mean, not play like this every game, but always have that outlet. How important is it to have, whether it's Doku, whether it's Savinho, Cherki, I put in a slightly different bucket because maybe he's a better rounded player. But how important is it to have that?
I don't know. I mean, if you were to find consistency as a player, like a Doku player, how long does it take you? Because it's not like if he arrived yesterday and this is the beginning of his relationship with Pep to find that consistency. And you, especially as a big fan, but all of us were like, wow, okay, he's so capable. And then the next 2 games, not much or not enough from him. Then another amazing game. Then 2 games, not enough. Where is Doku? Doku is disappearing. That kind of lack of consistency. By now, you would have thought with Pep's work in this dominant City team, because they are one of the best teams in the world, that Doku would have got there at that kind of level. He spoke to French TV the other day and he said that himself. He said, like, I'm not happy. I need to be more consistent. I should provide more for this team. So he's clearly aware of it. It's not like if he didn't really care that much and was happy with 1 good game, 2 average games, 1 very good game, 2 good games, 1 etc., that kind of pattern. So he's aware. I don't know. But when I see him yesterday, and every time you know what he's going to do because he often does the same, and yet every time it works, every time there's danger there, the goal he scores is great. But the fact that he doesn't really score goals like that often shows you that the lack of consistency is clearly there. I don't know. I think Pep is amazing at improving players, including Jeremy Doku, and he might get there. I just thought that by now he would have got there.
I think more broadly with Doku, not just him. I mean, other players who do what Doku does, whether it's Madueke, whether it's whatever. In an age when teams can be so physically imposing, so athletic, and at the same time when a lot of managers, I think you're seeing it more broadly, are emphasizing the defensive side of the game. That old take on, that old one-on-one, there's no answer to, right? If you have a guy who can beat somebody else one-on-one, it will always wreak havoc, and it will always do damage, right? Because it forces you to slide across and whatever. It has all the knock-ons. And this is true not just in this sport, in any sport.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a weapon. And when I think of this, and when I think of how City can get even better, because I'm still not a Nico Gonzalez guy, if and it's a big if, because we see glimpses of him and then he goes away and then he comes back.
Yeah.
If Rodri comes back to anything like his form, and if they keep their big guns fit at the back, I think City can not just go up a level; they can go up several levels. Maybe they can improve more than any other team in the Premier League. And I say that as, Arsenal, I think, will improve if Odegaard comes back and is fit for a long time. It'll give them another whole other dimension and whatever else. That is kind of the scary thing about where City are right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time I saw them live on Sunday. And I have to say, tactically, the evolution that Pep is embarking this team on is pretty impressive. To see it live was just incredible, really. And I know Liverpool were disappointed, we said that. And it might not always be the case. And this is just the beginning even. I think he's still teaching these players to play like this, to overload that midfield. Doku much more central, which I think will also help him when he goes back to the left-hand side, one-on-one with his right back, because he spends also a lot of time in a more central area where he's not used to, because he's always been a pure left winger all his life, all his career. So I just think it's remarkable what they're doing. I like the fact that Guardiola, whether he's got 6 months left at City or 18 months left, but the contract ends very soon anyway, that he still wants to change things and evolve even towards the end of his tenure at the club. The fact that Pep Lijnders has arrived, I think, is also part of this evolution, because there's far more verticality And even Bernardo Silva, that we thought last season had gone past his best years, I see him yesterday, and he's, for me, outside of Doku, the best player in that City team because he made things click so well. It's unreal how intelligent he is on a football pitch. And they've got something great going on. I don't know how far, whether you can catch Arsenal and win another title, whether you can win the Champions League, whether you can do another treble, a double, whatever, we will see. But they're on to something very, very good, that's for sure.